Most data-driven forms display only a single record at a time. However, there are additional form types that you can choose when you'd like to be able to work with several records. Up on the Create tab in the MoreForms group, we have two that I'd like to take a look at: multiple items and split form. Let's first make a multiple items form based off of our employee phone crosstab query that we created earlier. I'll click that in the navigation pane, go up to MoreForms, and then select multiple items. Access generates a multiple items form that we can scroll through to see all of our employee phone numbers. If the property sheet opened, go ahead and close it down here. Now we can go ahead and start making changes to your form. Right now we're in Layout View, and I can see that by looking at the top here where it says Form Layout Tools. In Layout View, I can adjust all of the columns at once by clicking a single representative field. I'll click on this first name cell here, David, and click on the bottom and drag up to make everything shorter. Now I'll start making everything a little bit less wide so I can fit more information on the screen. I'll simply click on their cells and drag their right edges. We'll do the same thing for the cell phone number. I'll click and drag to the right. Emergency numbers, make those shorter. Fax, home, and the office numbers. Now I can also rearrange my columns by shift-clicking to grab the header row as well, and then click and drag to reposition. I'm going to move office phone to the very beginning right after last name, but before cell phone. Notice as I'm dragging, I get a pink line telling me where it's going to go. When I let go, the office numbers move over and everything else readjusts. Now let's start taking a look at some other formatting. Access tends to put boxes around every single field, and it drives me crazy. It makes it much more cluttered. Let's go ahead and click on David here. I'll shift-click on this last box here to select all of my cells. Then I'll go to the Format tab, Shape Outline, and I'm going to change the outline to transparent to get rid of those boxes. I can click off to see what it looks like. Now let's change some of the stuff up here in the header. First, I'm going to change the title. Right now it says Employee Phone Crosstab, which was the name of the query we built it off of. I'll simply double-click to edit it, and I'll change it to Employee Phone List. Now I'll change this graphic here. This will be our logo for the No Obstacles Company. I'll click on the graphic, go to Design, and press this logo button here. Then I'll browse out to my desktop to find my exercise folder. And in Chapter 8, I've got the Recycle Bug logo. Go ahead and say OK, and that'll put it in. But we can see that it's cropped, so we need to adjust some properties of this image. I'll go to my property sheet, and in the picture size mode, right now it's set to clip, which is a cropping mode. I'm going to change it to zoom so that it shrinks to fit in the box. Now I'll change the background color here to match the logo so it all blends seamlessly. I'll click on the blue area over here so that this portion is highlighted. And I'll go up to the Format tab, Shape Fill, and I'll change it to this white swatch here. Finally, I want to get rid of these boxes over here on the left side. These are record selectors. When you click on them, essentially you're selecting the record. In order to get rid of those, we need to change to the properties for the form. If it's not selected here, you can use the drop-down to select it from the list. Now we're going to find the record selectors property here and change it from yes to no. That'll clean up the display quite a bit. Let's go ahead and close the property sheet and take a look. And that's looking nice and clean. Let's go ahead and close this form. And when I'm prompted, I'll go ahead and save it as Employee Phone List. Now let's create a split form. I'm going to build a split form off of my orders table. I'll click it in the navigation pane, go up to the Create tab, More Forms, and Split Form. A split form gives you the best of both worlds. You get a regular form up here at the top where you can see the details for an individual record, and then on the bottom you get a datasheet view where you can see that record in context with the other records around it. I've got a splitter bar here in the middle here that I can drag up if I want to see more records at the bottom, or I can drag down if I want to see more of the detail section at the top. I'll move it back here to the middle. We can adjust some of the properties for this as well. This time I'm going to switch into Design View to do that. I'll use my View button and go to Design View. Let's take a look at some of the properties for this form. I'll go to the Design tab, open up my property sheet again, and right now I'm looking at the properties for the form here. I'll scroll down on the property sheet, and we'll see several properties dealing with the split form. I can see how much room I'm allocating to the datasheet on the bottom. I can adjust the position of the datasheet. Maybe I want it on the top, or the left or right side. I'll leave it at bottom. And I can also turn that splitter bar on or off. If I turn it off, my users won't be able to adjust the spacing. I'm going to leave it set to yes. Let's go ahead and clean up the header now. I'm going to make it look like the employee phone list. I'm going to click up here in the header section, and on the Format tab, we'll go to Shape Fill and change it to white. We'll go ahead and click on this image here. Then go to the Design tab, press the Logo button again, and we'll use the same Recycle Bug logo. That way we have a consistent brand experience. Again, I'll change its size mode from Clip to Zoom. The title here is fine. I'll leave it saying Orders. But now I want to adjust some of these boxes here in the Detail section. I'm going to click on Customer. Right now in our table, we're storing the customer's ID number, which doesn't really aid order entry. I would have to know the ID number for every single customer, and that's just not practical. I can make this a better experience by right-clicking on this text box and converting it to a combo box. Then, if you remember from the combo box movie, we need to go to the Data tab and give it a row source so it has a populated list when we click on the down arrow. I'll click on the row source field here and press Build to build a query to generate that list. I'll go to the Customers query. I'll choose the Customers table and press Add and Close. Then I'll pull in some fields from the table: Customer ID, First Name, and Last Name. Finally, I want to sort this list by last name ascending so that it's alphabetized. I'll close the query. I'll save the changes, and that'll return me back to my form. Now there's one last change that I need to make here. I'm going to go to the Format tab, still on the combo box, and I'm going to change column count here from 1 to 3. That way it shows the ID number, the first name, and the last name for my customers when I use the drop-down list. Let's go ahead and close the property sheet. I'll go ahead and save my form here. I'm going to give it the name Orders. That's fine. Go ahead and say OK. And let's test it out. I'll switch into Form View. And now I'll press the New Record button here at the bottom to enter a new order. When it comes time to enter in the customer, I can use this drop-down list to select a customer. For instance, I'll choose Jasmine Tillman. Now it puts in her ID number here, and I can continue filling in the record. These additional form types give you even more options when you want to review, add, or edit the records in your database, all while unlocking the ability to completely customize the interface to match your needs and tastes.